Thank you so much, Davis, and special thanks to Janet and Rob as well, who went before me. And I'm actually going to be building up on what they said, and I'm really glad that all of you signed in for this webinar. It shows that you're really interested about families and your team, and I'm extremely happy that you're here. So, like Davis said, the first thing that we're going to look at is that quiz on Menti. So, if you can go back to that. Okay, so which of the following words are familiar to you, parents? We'll okay, so ROFL is probably a little older, yes, and FOMO is probably the latest one, and boomerang. When we were small, boomerang was something that was used in Australia to hunt kangaroos, but today in the world of Instagram, which is IG by the way, boomerang is something very, very different. Like, there's videos that play on loop. Anyway, so yes, thank you so much for that, David. Just a note to all of you who are listening, for parents and for children, there's one more question that's going to come up on Mentimeter after this. So please go ahead and start answering that question. Just one question for the parents and one question for the team. Please answer that question, and we'll come back to those results later. So stay on Menti, just finish that, and then you can come back. So I just want to tell you that as you do this communicating better with your team, it's quite a big topic. This parenting itself is such a big topic, and I must say that the last few days, my wife and I have been building this current material for this program, and we've been reading some books, and also we've been involved in talking to parents and the teenagers together and trying to kind of bridge the gap between communication, trying to find out what the challenges are. So it comes from our experience as well. It comes from also from the books that we've been reading, and I hope that you're able to take something from this even this evening. So we're going to talk about the need. So why are we doing this? We're going to look at some of the methods and how do we do this, and some practical tips, and we'll finish it off over there. So if you see the next slide, you would see that a survey was done for about 5,000 adults about their relationship with their parents during their teenage years. And this were the three top findings from that survey. The first thing is, those adults had said, I wish my parents had listened to me more. The second thing that they said is, I wish the parents talked about their feelings more. And the teenager, they also said, I wish sometimes I could have spoken more to my parents. So you can see that, from this survey, that a gap actually exists in communication, and this is what we want to address today. And communication is a basic element in human relationships. It's achieved by actions, gestures, as well as by words. It's not always just words, but just our actions and gestures as well. The quality of the relationship can be measured by the quality of the communication. The quality of the relationship can be measured by the quality of communication. I want to just focus a little bit on this slide over here, especially to understand the place where the teenager is. So the teenager is not a child anymore. They're not an overgrown child, and they are on the way. They're moving right on the screen. They're moving towards adulthood, and this is a time of crucial life decisions. Now, if your child is 14, 15 years old, you realize that very soon they're going to need to go choose a stream for them, +1 and +2. What are they going to choose? After that, they're going to select which college, basically deciding zeroing on your career. Which line are you going to go? Science, arts, commerce, and so on. And it's also the time, the next 10 to 15 years is the time in which your child is going to most probably choose a life partner. Very, very important decision. And I want to tell you, the parents, you don't have much time left. Times are going to go fast. And that's why it's important to start and keep the communication channel open today, so that during these critical moments, you are able to take good decisions together. And that's the importance of this. You can see the next slide. When a child is 0 to 6 years old, the parenting style is mostly instructions. The parents just tell them, hey, wear this dress, eat your food, eat your vegetables, go to bed. Okay, the parenting role is instructor. And at this time, it's the dominant person should be the parent of the opposite gender. So if I have a son, my mother should be my wife should be doing this more. And if I have a daughter, then I should be the one who should be enforcing this a little bit more. From the ages of 6 to 12, okay? So you give instructions. Instructions are basically non-negotiables. The kids don't have, they don't give a feedback on that, but you tell them with explanation. So you tell them, hey, you have to eat your vegetables because it's good for your health, and so on. So the role here is more of a guide. You're guiding them. And at this time, it's very critical that this more time spent by the parent of the same gender. I spend more time with my son, and when we have a daughter, my wife spends more time with her, and so on. That's how it works for you also, because this is when their body also slowly starts to change in terms of maturity and so on. And then we come to this next 6 years, which is the 12 to 18. This is the time in which there's more hand-holding required, where there's more freedom in decision-making for the child. And this time, the parent's role is the role of a coach. Okay. Now, many people would probably want to say, like, I want to be a best friend to my son or a daughter. That's a great idea. But here's the thing: there's a clear difference between being a best friend and being a parent. We are parents 24/7. There are moments when you can be very friendly, but the thing is, we can never be friendly kind of thing where they start dictating things back to us. So this is the role of a coach, and this is critical where both parents are involved. Both the genders need to be involved to help the child see the world, to process the world, and so on. And that's why I want to say parenting is a two-person job. So in case you're wondering, hey, I haven't followed the 0 to 6, 6 to 12, 12 to 18, or both of us have not been involved in this. Let me tell you, it's not too late. It's not too late. You can start today. Moving on. Why is this important? Listen, if the parents are not communicating to the child, okay, the child is being communicated by the world. And by the world, what do I mean by that? So today, teenagers spend a lot of time on Instagram. And thanks to especially this last 1.5 years of lockdown, most of them probably have a device for themselves. And when you have a personalized device, you can have your own Netflix account, your Hotstar account, and your Amazon Prime, and all the other things. I don't even know what are the other things that are over there. And here is what happens. They start influencing our children. They start putting thoughts into their head. And what kind of values and what kind of virtues do you think will be being communicated to them? If, as a parent, this is important to you, that's why you need to spend a lot of time talking to your children about some of the critical things that are important for you. All right. Saying this, now we're going to talk about the how. On how do we do this? So before that, let's just probably go back to the Menti slide and look at what are the results that has come up. The two questions that were asked is, the questions for the parents was, what is one thing that you wish your parents had told you when you were a teenager? Okay, so as the results come up, that was the first question. The second question for the teenagers was, if you had to describe your parent, saying that they are not, you don't want to call them parent, you want to call them with some other name, what would that be? Okay, so I can see parents are probably saying that, life is hard, be prepared for challenges. Your parents are saying that I wish my parents had told that. I wish my parents had told me to be more ambitious. A parent said, to share the teenage, your parents wish that your parents spent, more time with you, especially during the challenges. Thank you so much. So let me look at some of the answers for which the teenagers are saying, they're saying provider, comforter, heroes. What an answer. I'm amazed. Heroes. That's thank you, teenager, for saying that. Different, and there are some words I can see torture, I can see angry. That's how the teenagers have been responding to this question, and I know it's not easy. For you to go through that and even to answer that, but thank you for being honest. The teenagers, the parents said discipline, and the parents said that prepared me for life after marriage. I think this is our fodder to kind of influence our children and talk to them on what to talk to them during this formative years of them. Thank you, Davis. We can go back to the slide. Thank you for the answers of all those of you who shared. Research has shown that teenagers love two things. Okay, they love two things. The first thing is honesty. The second thing is kindness. Now, this part, it's not very free in this Indian culture and society. I don't know about you, but it's parents think they need not be honest with them, and I think a lot of ice can be broken to keep the communication channels open if the parents are able to say, "Hey, I failed. I've gone through my own share of difficulties. These are my hang-ups," and to be open about that actually breaks a lot of ice. The second thing that teens would like is kindness. And I know that it's easier said than done. As parents, as as older people, there's so much of pressure on you to provide for your family, to protect your family, major life decisions, and so on. And we struggle with this. But the thing is, so when in these struggles, we sometimes tend to be rude. We sometimes tend to be angry with the teenager. The thing is, when we do that, we push them more and more away. So here's one of the critical points that I want to say, and I want you to remember this. The onus for communication is on the parents. The initiative, the first step to have a communication channel starts from the parents. And it can actually start by being open and honest. So I want to ask you some specific questions, especially the parents. Have you spoken about your weaknesses to your children? Have you spoken about your failures? Have you spoken about regular life things, talk about the house finances, talk about what's the plan for the family? This helps the child actually to know that, okay, I'm becoming an adult and my parents are pulling me in that journey, and so on. And you see, it's with this attitude is when we're able to talk about some of the difficult topics also. One of the areas where teenagers and parents have a difficulty in communicating is on the dressing of the child. The parents are not happy with the dressing, or about the phone usage, or about which kind of friends you want to mingle with. And so if you're open, if you're honest, and if you're kind, you'll be able to talk openly. Otherwise, there is a chance that the teenagers would be able to go in a shell and live a secret life. And in today's digitized world, that's very, very possible. And I want to say a special word to the teenagers as well. You need to understand that your parents are not perfect. Your parents are not gods. In fact, nothing prepares you to be a parent. And they're learning on the job. And I request you to give them some grace as well. A lot of it is probably their own baggage that they're bringing into your family. And so sometimes when you see your parents down, they also go through emotions. They go through pain. They go through difficulties. But if you're able to take the initiative, to respond to them, you would be doing your family an amazing service. The second, they're talking about this, the other thing that I want to say is, let me just ask this question to parents. If your child comes and tells you, I don't want to go to school this week, and he or she says this twice or thrice a week, how do you respond? Now, here's the thing. The most common answer would be to kind of brush it away. Say no, nothing like that. You have to go to school. Every child goes to school. The second thing we might do is we might try to rationalize it. We might try to rationalize in the sense we say, okay, what's the problem? Maybe your teacher's scolding you. Maybe you're not doing the homework. Okay, come, let's sort that issue out. Okay, while you're trying to sort the issue out, even that is actually not helping. The child here wants to know that you have understood how they have felt. And I think that's what, picking up from Janet's session and also from what Rob said, what are they feeling? Because this is a time when a lot of emotions come to them, which are very, very new to them. They have not experienced these emotions before. It's said that until the age of 21, the child's, a human's brain is growing to understand emotions fully. So until the age of 21, even though they're adults according to the law of the land, they're emotionally still not fully mature. And so if parents, you can communicate to your child, I have understood what feeling you're going through right now, the child feels extremely secure and happy. And the next thing, some of the things that you can talk about, to your child are these things. Again, this is all according to research and survey. Children struggle with this whole rat race stress, education, future, which college should I join? My friends are doing better than me, and so on. It's a big struggle, and if that's one of the areas you need to talk to. I think it's on the next slide, David. So the second thing is the second thing that the children struggle with is, how do I behave with the opposite sex? And this is something, again, a little challenging for kids. And these are very active questions that they have. And the next thing is the other stressor that they can have is relationships at home. These are something that happen on an everyday basis, but there are some more passive stresses that they face. That is their identity, especially in the context of social media. So I showed a clip just some time before, when you see Instagram and all these things are trying to say, this is how you need to look, this is what you need to do to be accepted, and so on. As you communicate to your children, to your teenagers that that's not true. Okay, and it helps them unload some of the stress, and so on. So saying that, the last part that I want to cover is, okay, so what are some tips? How do we actually make communication channels open? And here are some everyday tips that you can use. Okay, the first thing is set apart watch out for three kinds of time, and I think Rob spoke about this. One is the everyday family time. If you can see this clip, it's it's from The Family Man, which is currently going on Amazon Prime, and the main character there, he says the family that eats together stays together. He's trying to kind of build a family because his family life was in shambles. But if you can set up some kind of everyday time where you just sit and talk about mundane, regular things, just keep the communication channel open. Rob again mentioned that. How was your day? Even with very minimal answers, just keep it going on. Talk about things like, how's your homework going on? Do you need some help for that? And the idea here is not to control the child, but for the child to allow for them to be free to also talk and communicate. So that's the first part of this. And again, it's the parents who lead the initiative. The second time that you can look for is basically the fun and the entertainment time that you have as a family. This could be board games. This could be going on family picnics. This could be doing a hobby together, both the parents and the child doing together. This is maybe having a movie night and then talking about the movie. And maybe watching sports together. I still remember when I was a teenager, this is something that my dad did with me intentionally, that every weekend we would sit and watch English football. And I didn't realize that he was doing this intentionally. But what actually happened was actually sitting and talking about oh, did you see that pass? Did you see that goal? But it actually opens up a time for us to talk about some more serious things. And it built my relationship with my dad during that time. And I'm very thankful for that. And you see, it's during these fun times in which this channel kind of widens for you to openly communicate with your teenager. The final time that you can look for, especially this again on the parents, is the life building moments time. Now these are the times when, Rob mentioned this, watch for those times and understand what are they going through emotionally. And if you think you can pass on some valuable life lesson to them, this is the time to communicate that. And I pray that you have wisdom to do this, because it's not easy. But what you teach now would stay with them for the rest of their life. It can come once a week, it can come once a month, once in 6 months, but these are the critical times. Before I finish, I just want to mention one of this again, with what I had with my father and how that has helped me. I was joining college in the city of Coimbatore, and my parents had come to drop me in the hostel, and they had to rush back to the city to catch a train back to Chennai. Just before that, my dad took me to the side and he said, I told this to your brother, I told this to your sister when they left home, and I'm telling this to you again. At any moment in time, if you think you're not able to handle this, if you think the whole thing is crashing down and you're losing yourself and you're losing your soul, I want you to catch the next train or bus or whatever it is and come back home. Your soul and your life is more important to me than your education. And that's communicated to me how much my father cares and is concerned about me. It was not his money that he was spending to help me study engineering. It was not anything of that. It was more concern for me as a person. And I remember this to this day. So dear parents, watch out for this moment. Watch out for this moment in which you can communicate to your child and build a legacy for the next generation. Thank you.